Hi everyone, hope you're doing good. And recently I got a surprise present from my mum, and she got me this book. And this is the Guitars of James Hetfield, Messengers. And this book come out in October or November of last year. And I remember seeing it, but I was never expecting my mum to surprise me by getting it for me, which I really appreciate. And also, to go with it, she also got me the James Hetfield White Fang guitar picks, which are really awesome as well. Just get one out. Just quickly show. They're really awesome. And they're really cool because they have the grip. I really like that for my guitar picks, when they have a nice little grip to help you pick. But yes, anyway, yes, the video is going to be about this, not the guitar picks. Yeah, I just think that this book is really, really awesome, and I thought I could do a really, really cool video about this book for guitar nerds out there, any guitar nerds on my channel as well. I have to be honest, I think this book has helped reinvigorate my love for Metallica and James Hetfield. That's how much I love this book, and honestly I read it in about a week. I'm not really a book guy, but I read this book in a week, which just goes to show how much I enjoyed it. And yeah, basically I had the idea for making a video about this, and I was looking on YouTube to see what kind of videos were out there on this book, and I could only find a couple of videos really, just a couple of unboxings, one or two reviews, and a quick showcase showing some pages. But I thought I don't really feel like doing anything like that, because I'm not really a book person. I don't think I can review it without saying it's a good book. And I didn't fancy showcasing the whole book either, because that would have just took forever. So in the end, I've decided what I'm going to do is just go through and pick out 5 of the most interesting guitars that I thought were the most interesting to read about, and also I'm going to pick my 5 favourite guitars from the book. So I hope you go on to enjoy the video, and yeah, just a quick disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by James Hetfield. Starting off with the 5 most interesting guitars, or my 5 most interesting guitars. This was pretty tricky because there's quite a lot of interesting guitars in this book, and the way I'm going to do this is I'm not going to show you pages for the things from this, because I don't think it will actually come up very well on the camera. So what I'm going to do instead, for each guitar, I'm just going to put pictures of the pages. I'm going to take pictures and have them on the screen. So yeah, the first one is this, the 1984 So What. And yeah, this is a Gibson Explorer from 1983. And this guitar he got in 1984. This was the first ESP Explorer that he owned, and he recorded the album Ride the Lightning with it. This was the first guitar that James properly customised himself, and he gave it the name So What. The story, he goes into detail about the story giving it the name So What, but he basically just said it as like a fuck you basically to people about customising his guitar. You know, he was like, so what if I change my guitar, if I customise how I want it to be customised. You know, he just kind of did that as like an FU to the guitar nerd purists really. And also this guitar sparked James's obsession with the Explorer shape, because after this he would go on to have quite a few models of the Explorer made by ESP, including the More Beer guitar that appeared on the Garage Days EP cover, and also Eat Fuck, which was a guitar that he played on the One music video. So the next one that I picked was the Montreal Gibson Horizon double neck from 1991, and what made this guitar the most interesting for me to read about was the fact that this was the guitar that James Hetfield was playing when he had the pyrotechnic accident in Montreal in 1992. And in the book, James goes into heavy detail about the accident and how he was feeling at the time. And yeah, it's just a really, really cool story to hear about that, because I know that was a pretty pivotal time in Metallica's history when they were on the Black Album tour, of course, and when that accident happened. And I thought it was quite interesting because there are images of the guitar and you can actually see the burn marks on the neck of the guitar. So it just goes to show, you know, where his hand was at the time and how it impacted James as well. And there's even a little bit on with John Marshall. John Marshall talks a little bit about filling in for James on that tour as well, which I thought was really, really cool. Next guitar that I picked was the Truckster guitars. More specifically, I picked the Riff Life one from 2008, and it's an ESP Truckster that James Hetfield had massively customised, and I thought it was really interesting to hear about the actual process of making these guitars. They put a base layer of paint down on the guitar, and then they kept adding different paint layers to get this really nice effect. And then when you basically start rubbing away at the layers, it creates this really cool effect, like with old school cars as well, that they used to do that to make it look old and kind of rusted up. And James basically wanted to do that with a guitar, and that's how the Truckster kind of came to be. But I chose the Riff Life guitar over Truckster number 1, mainly because it just looks cooler. James had a little bit more freedom to do what he wanted with it, and I thought it was just really cool. It just looks really cool. They're both about as interesting as each other, but I just chose the Riff Life. And also I thought it was quite interesting that James mentioned that the Truckster guitars were some of the first guitars that actually got him into the Les Paul shape, which he's kind of become more prominent for nowadays compared to back in the day. The penultimate one that I picked is the Dave of England guitar, and this is a Vitals Archtop from 2009, and this one was really cool to read about, especially the fact that James had always wanted a Zemaitis guitar. It's basically what this is, it's a Zemaitis. But when he went to call Tony Zemaitis about getting a guitar made for him, he found out that he had retired, and he'd give all his tools to this guy called Dave Brewis, and he basically asked him if he could make a guitar for him. And then they made this project. What makes it even more personal to James is that engraved on the aluminium is all of James's most meaningful tattoos. And also in the book, Dave Brewis goes into massive detail about the building process, making this guitar for James. It's just really, really interesting to see the guitar come together from, you know, the basic bits of wood, and then you see it, the finished thing. It's just really, really awesome, really cool to read about. And last up, I have picked one of the Ken Lawrence custom-made guitars, and I have picked Hunter. And the reason why I want to talk about this one is because this is the actual first guitar that Ken Lawrence made for James back in 1996, And to be honest, I could have picked any Ken Lawrence guitar because they're all pretty interesting. But I picked this one because it was the first one. And it was just really interesting to hear the story of how they actually met and got together. They actually met at the Mesa Boogie HQ, where Ken originally he was only a maker of bass guitars. He didn't actually make like proper 6-string guitars. So he actually was approaching Jason Newsted to see if he would be interested in, you know, having a bass guitar made. But it was actually it actually turned out that James was more interested than Jason was. James had always been interested in having a guitar made by Ken because he's such a great maker. And yeah, it's just really cool how that James ended up doing a project with him instead of Jason. But Ken just goes into great detail about the story. It's a really cool story about how it all come together, and the fact that James has had a pretty long relationship with him as well for making guitars. Now we're going to move on to my top 5 guitars in the book, my 5 favourites to look at. And again, this was really difficult because there are so many fantastic looking guitars in this book. James has got a real glutton of really awesome looking guitars. So yeah, but anyway, without further ado, in no particular order, this is my first one that I picked, and it's the Skull and Wings ESP Vulture James Hetfield signature in satin black. And to be honest, I love both the Vulture V's, this one and the camo one, but I think I just like this one just a little bit more. I love the custom tailpiece that is made to look like a vulture skull and vulture wings. I think that is just really, really cool. I just love the vulture inlay on the 12th fret as well, and also the headstock just looks badass as hell. I just love it. Next up, I've picked the purple snakebite, and this is basically an ESP snakebite. This is a James Hetfield signature. This is a baritone from 2018. Again, similar to the original snakebite, but personally I just love purple guitars. Purple and black I just feel works so well on a guitar, and I know the white one is the classic, but I just love this purple one more. I just think it looks so cool. The colours just work for me so well. It's got a similar headstock to the Skull and Wings Vulture, but I love the snake inlay on the 12th fret. I think it just looks so awesome. And yeah, this guitar had to be set up as a baritone guitar in drop C, and if they play anything from St. Anger, and it's a big if, but if they do, this is the guitar of choice for James currently, which is really cool. Next up is yet another ESP, but this time I've gone with the White Cross. And yeah, this is an ESP Eclipse White Iron Cross edition from 2013. And yeah, to be fair, all the Iron Cross guitars look really cool. The black one, I really like the black one, but it's always been the white one for me. I've always been drawn to that one more. It's just a thing of beauty. There's nothing more I can say really. I've always liked the Les Paul shape, and it just works really well with this guitar. The design and everything is just perfect. I love the Iron Cross on the body. It always stands out as its best feature for me, as well as the pinstripe going across the body. I love the fret inlays, the flags. They just add something a bit different, and then the Iron Cross inlay on the 12th fret just caps it off. It's just a perfect looking guitar. I love it. Penultimate one, I've gone with A Wolf and Man. and this is an ESP MX250 from 1991, and yeah, this guitar was used on the Black Album tour. Black body just makes sense. You would say that this is quite a boring looking guitar, but what makes it for me, what draws me in about this guitar is the artwork on the fretboard. It is just awesome. The inlays starting from at the pickups, a man, and then moving down the headstock. The man slowly morphs and turns it into this wolf, and by at the end the wolf is howling. I just think it's a really simple design but really effective as well. It just looks really cool. I've always really liked it, and yeah, that's why it made my top 5. And last and no means least, I have picked a Ken Lawrence guitar again. But again, I could have picked any of the Ken Lawrence guitars because they're all absolutely stunning to look at. But for me, the cut above is Carl, the Ken Lawrence Explorer from 2017. This guitar is just absolutely amazing. I love it. It's absolutely awesome. The story itself would have been worthy of putting it in the interesting guitars category, but I think its beauty just outweighs the story, even if it's that, you know, that much of a great story. I just love the fact that the top of the body is made out of the remaining pieces of the door from the garage that the band practiced in back in the day, back in the early days. And I love the fact that it's just made to look used. You've got all the nail heads in it and, you know, bits of horrible looking wood, but it just looks so awesome. It keeps that sentimental value of what it means to the band. And again, the headstock, like all the Ken Lawrence guitars, just looks really, really cool. And I love the fact that they finished it off again with a little bit of the garage door wood as well. I think it's just gives it just that perfect little finish. The fretboard is where it's at though. The fretboard design, the art on it is just absolutely amazing. The story behind it as well is just awesome as well. I'm not going to go into the story too much, but I'll have the picture on the screen where James goes into detail about the story. But basically the story, it represents the band at the start, where the pickups are. It represents the band, Cliff, moving to San Francisco, Master of Puppets album, Cliff Burton in the Orion constellation, and then the garage itself from where they first started out their journey. It's just an awesome piece of art and hands down my favourite guitar of James Hetfield's collection. So that was my showcase on the new book by James Hetfield, Messengers. Let me know what were your favourite guitars from the ones that I showed. What's your favourite James Hetfield guitar, full stop? Was it one that I didn't show in here? And also let me know if you got the book or if you would like the book following my video. That would be really awesome to know. And I hope this video helps you if you do want to pick up the book. I really hope it helps you want to pick it up. And again, I'm not sponsored by James Hetfield or anything, but I just wanted to share this book because it is so good. There's so many different guitars, so many fantastic pictures, like that one there of James playing there. It's basically got every single guitar that he's played throughout his career. You know, like the diamond plate there as well. It's even got vintage guitars, amps and all the gear he's used throughout his career and his whole guitar collection. It's just such a fantastic book. I recommend it to any guitar nerd, any Metallica fan, any James Hetfield fans. You know, it's just an awesome book. So yeah, that's it. If you got this far, thanks ever so much for all the support. Really appreciate it. And thanks ever so much for watching. Until next time, keep it metal!